All right. Happy Tuesday, Garrett. How's everything going?
Good. Happy Tuesday. How are we doing, sir?
Doing all right.
I understand we got an exciting power session today centered around the WIP, which is always going to be valuable for those people out there watching.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to go through more of the customizations that you can do on the WIP, filters, workflows, or the workspaces, and then just saving some of the criteria. So that way it's a little easier to access the system a little bit later on. So if you guys have questions along the way, please throw them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them as you go. We'll also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of this. So, well,
Sounds good. Let's jump in and get after it.
let's do it. So where we're going to be looking today is going to be under the financials section from the main screen and then in the WIP report here. So like I said, we're going to be focused mostly on the not so much how to update the numbers or how to do the cost forecast update, just managing the look and feel of the WIP itself. So we'll start here at the top, and I want to focus over here on the right-hand corner. So there's a three-dot icon, right? This will allow you to do a couple different things. The edit option will allow us to change up our KPIs, our charts, move them around, add new ones, etc. The show and hide will give you a couple of different view options. So if you want to see the pennies, if you want to see the pluses and minuses, if you want to stack some of the data, there are a couple columns that show like open commitments or commitments in general. And then the grid lines for the horizontal, that'll be more so down below. Okay. Close out this. This will be used if you are looking to lock in values prior to a certain date. So in this case, we have this closed out as of 11/30/2023. So that just means if I were to change any values, I couldn't change it prior to November 30th of 2023. So once those final adjustments are made, this is a good way to make sure that we're closing out the WIP within ProNovos. And then we'll get into the save options here in a second. But the first thing we'll click on to adjust our KPIs and our charts here in the middle, whatever view you're on, you'll obviously have as many views as you guys want to create in the system. So whichever view you're on and you go to edit, this will allow us to change up some of these KPIs and the charts, right? So you can see here, we've got our layout. So this is just saying we're going to be 5 wide here. If I want to change it to 4, if I want to change it to 3, whatever, I guess, preference, right? If you want to move these around, just somewhere in the box, doesn't matter where, but you can click and drag these things around, plop them right where you want to see them, and everything will shift up 1. All right. And then if you want to get rid of any, maybe I don't need the backlog, you can just hit the little minus sign there. It'll get rid of it. And obviously the plus sign will allow us to pick from that large list of all the edit columns from the report down below. So if I wanted to show the, doesn't matter, hours to complete, right? We can click it, we can hit save, and it'll be down or in this subtotal section at the top. So all of these KPIs will subtotal based on the criteria down here once we get to it. So just keep that in mind. If you're only showing active jobs, if you're only showing jobs for a certain project manager, if you're only showing jobs for a certain customer, all these will subtotal based on the report that's down below.
I know we have a lot of KPI options in there, but do you find during implementation there's kind of maybe more custom requests to add?
Now, every now and then, I would say some of the more helpful ones here, because when you're looking at this by default, these are, let's we'll put the backlog option back in here. So these are pretty much the standard ones here. What I see a lot of people do add is for getting our adjustments back to the accounting system for our over and under adjustments. So we have the net over and under billings here, but if I go to the plus sign, I can go find my over billings, so my billing in excess of cost, and then my under billings down at the bottom. So our costs in excess of billings, right? So having those two here is super helpful just to make sure that, you know, we've got both amounts in here. So that way, when we're making our adjustments, we've got our two balance sheet accounts and then what our net income adjustment should be. So this is always pretty helpful to have. And obviously I might drag these a little bit closer to each other. But that would be what I would see pretty commonly as far as, you know, other adjustments that people have made that have seemed to be pretty helpful.
Got it. Thanks.
So once you have your KPI section the way that you want it, you can also edit the charts. So if you want to see 2 charts, if you want to see 3 charts, you'll have the option to add more, clicking the plus sign. So this is kind of a standard one. If you want to create your own, you can click here. And then what you would be able to do is give it a name. So we can say, or do we have build amount in here? We do. So we can say build by PM. So build dollars by PM. So if you want an additional description, most certainly can, not required. So what this is just saying, the project managers would be listed across the bottom. And then I can put in my build to date, which will show me the values per project manager. So once I hit save, we'll see that chart then populate to the right of our current chart that's in here. Okay. Now, one thing you do want to do is once you get everything where you want it to be, you can hit save, right? Now, just saying this out loud, because some people don't do this next step, which can cause a little bit of grief, if you will. So you've saved your template, like all the KPIs and charts the way you want it. The only thing you got to do now is just save it to the view, right? Because that's just kind of locking in this, I guess, technically a temporary change for now. Because if I were to refresh it, it would revert back. So just make sure that you're saving it to the appropriate view. So if you're just saving it to the standard one, great, just hit save. If you want to create a new view different from standard, you can hit save as, and we could say like standard 2, right? And now I would have my standard version, which would look the old way, and then my standard 2 in this case to show it the new way. Okay, so just make sure that if you do change the KPIs in the top section here, just make sure you hit save or save as. That way you don't lose all that effort, and next time you open it, all the new stuff will be in here. Okay. So getting towards the bottom, so we've looked at our KPIs and charts here. A couple other options that we can do to help make life a whole lot easier. One, let's get our columns the way we want them. So this will be along the same lines of what we just talked about, right? Where I've got all my values that I want in the report on the right-hand side. And then here's all the other items that we can put in here. So there are some more options than what we saw up above, like job end date, job status, project manager, things like that. So there are a couple more options in here, but same thing. If you want to add something in there, you can click it or the arrow, doesn't matter, and it'll add it to the bottom of the list. Now, one thing to make note of when you're moving these around, I know a lot of people love to grab the word and try and drag it, and you'll see that it highlights it. If you click it, you'll see it moves it back to the left. So what you want to do is just make sure you use the little icon on the left-hand side, and you can use that to drag these wherever you want. Okay, so just to make life a lot easier, just use that little icon on the left. And then if you want to rename it, instead of job cost date, I just want to say total job costs, right? You can rename it, hit the check mark, and you've got it saved. Okay. If you do rename these columns down below, like if you've got it in the report and you rename it, what this will do is if I did, I don't think I have job costs up here, but it would rename the KPIs at the top, right? So just keep that in mind that those changes can be pushed back up to the top as well. So that way everything just reads the same. Okay. So similar to what we just talked about with the template, once you get all your KPIs and charts, make sure you're hitting save, right? Once you apply any default filters or columns or group by, right, you want to make sure you do the same thing. So I've added those couple extra columns. Maybe I wanted to add a group by, maybe I want to add a default filter in here, whatever I want to do, right? Let's say I want to, maybe for me, we're in July now. Maybe I only want to see the WIP as of June 30th for the time being. I don't want to have to pick it. I want to just set it, forget it. And every time I load it for now will be to this June 30th as of date. So once you've got everything configured, edit columns, group by, filters, right? You've got a ton to pick from, project class, project manager, what the close date was. You can have certain jobs, you can filter it based on contract amount or budget amount. So a lot of stuff you can pick from here. But once you have everything down here configured, just same thing, make sure you go to the top. Save, we'll save it to that view or save as to create a new one. So if I save it, now I've locked it in. Now every time I open the WIP here and I go to this standard 2 version of it, I'm going to see that that grouping is there. My as of date is there, and any other filters that I want to put on the WIP by default will be in there. So if you want to update it later on, you want to change it, hey, it's now August and I want this to be July 31st, just pick your new date, for example, and then save it. So that's my biggest advice, is just making sure you save it. That way you don't think you're going crazy when when you refresh the WIP and some of those changes aren't there. So, but Garrett, any from your perspective, as far as like, you know, some of the additional filters, additional grouping by, same thing. Have you seen anything that that has been pretty helpful for clients to utilize on their end?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of these, well, a lot of the additions to the workspace have been client driven and us taking suggestions. So, like we always say, if you see something, see a way the WIP could be improved, just reach out and, you know, we can try to implement that. But yeah, just the filters and the group by and the WIP workspace in general. I mean, you know, customize your own charts and KPIs. I think the feedback's been very good on all this. So,
Yeah.
and it's super user friendly too. It's just, you know, click a button, click the link underneath it. And one thing I will say, can we explain how what's going to load as a default when people save these?
Yeah. So once good catch here. So you have all your views across the top. So I've created 100 of these, it seems like, right? But if you wanted to make, because right now, if I were to open the WIP, let's open a new one, it's going to go to that standard 1, right? But maybe I want standard 2 to be the default. All you got to do is go into your view and you can hit make default. So that way, whenever I select this and I make that the default now when I go to open my WIP, well, look like a fibber, but I must not have saved it. There we go. So that'll set the default, open it whenever you open a new version of the WIP. One other little piece of information in case no one uses this yet or doesn't know you can do this. You can also favorite anything in ProNovos, the WIP, the cash flow, the AR collections, individual dashboards, you name it. But you can bookmark these to your browser. So if I wanted to bookmark it, save it, right? When I go to open a new tab, I'll see my work in progress report here. So I can just click it. and it will open up the WIP. Now, if you're not logged in, it'll just ask you to log in, then it'll populate it. But that's just a little nice, quick and easy way for anyone who's, not wanting to dig around the system to find, some of those reports or functions within the system. So definitely something to make use of there. So as far as some of the customizations, one other thing, this is probably the smallest thing, and I'm sure I'm not telling anyone anything new, but in the operational areas, if you guys do have multiple companies linked into ProNovos, right, you can pick your individual company or that all option to combine all of the companies into one large WIP. So just in case anyone kind of didn't know that, but you do have an option there. So, I mean, as far as the customizations, I think it's pretty simple, pretty, like Garrett was saying, pretty user-friendly as far as what you can change, what kind of group by options. The search bar here is a job search. So if I wanted to search for a specific job, I could just type in that number and then it'll just show that one job. So instead of maybe going through the filter, click in, search and clicking, you can just use the search bar here. But all in all, I think those are the big takeaways from, some of the customization options you guys have in front of you. So I guess we can open it up if there's any questions, if there's any comments, any suggestions you guys might have as you guys have used the WIP, or just, anything else that you guys wanted to pick our brain while we're here. So we'll give it a couple minutes. We'll let people throw some questions out there and we'll make sure we get them answered here.
Good.
Give it another minute or so just to make sure. But if you guys are, if you guys do have any suggestions, if there's other, edits or filters or other things that you guys are curious to see in the system, you can always use the contact support for any new WIP, new columns, new filter options, whatever it may be. But you can always use this to submit any feature requests into the system. That would probably be the easiest way to send them on in. Okay, so
got a question there. Yep.
Right from the WIP into the details of an individual forecast. Yes. So question is, can you go right from the WIP into the details of an individual forecast? There's two ways to get to, if we're referring to the cost forecast for the job. So in the projected final cost column, you'll see the dollar amount here. But if you click into the arrow next to it, this will take you to the cost forecast worksheet for that specific job, right? So if you just want to jump right to it and get into the nuts and bolts of all the phases, cost codes, cost classes, all the cost forecast items here, just make sure you use the arrow next to that. If you want to get to other reports, maybe not just simply the cost forecast, you can click into the job and that'll give you that overview page, that landing page which shows you the costs and billings and change orders, etc. So this could be your landing spot to jump to the job cost report, to the billing report, to the change order report, or into the cost forecast. So this would be a way that you can kind of get to a couple different places all right from the WIP. And that would just be clicking right on the job name itself.
Cool. Well, if there's nothing else, we will wrap it up here.
Yeah, I think that's probably our list of questions then. If you guys do have anything else, feel free to reach out to us, and we're always happy to help and hopefully make life a whole lot easier with all things WIP. So thank you guys for joining today. And I think in 2 weeks, we'll be having our next power session. Garrett, what's going to be our topic for that meeting, if you know offhand?
We're talking about AR and AP and managing it within the project. So should be
Okay.
another informative one, and hopefully you guys can join then. But thanks for your time today, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Yep. Thanks, Steve. Bye.